Tell me kind of where you are mentally right now. The campaigns are grueling. They're tiresome. You're up early in the morning. You're working till late at night. You've even got the prospect of possibly having another 3 weeks of this, which we'll get to in a little bit. But how are you holding up? How are you feeling?
I feel good. You know, this is the kind of thing, too, that you really have to be comfortable both in your own skin and the decisions you've made, but also in the belief that you're doing the right thing. And, you know, I'm somewhat of a novelty when it comes to politics. I mean, I'm not Dale Bumpers and David Pryor and Bill Clinton. I'm a young woman that's kind of come from nowhere. You know, I'm very moderate when it comes to Democrats in Washington. I work hard to find common ground and to solve problems. And I feel good about that because I think most Arkansans and most Americans really want us to solve our problems. And they know that you don't solve your problems by looking at extreme ideology. You know, it's like work. You get up every day and go to work. I mean, regular Americans and regular Arkansans, they get up, they go to work, they put one foot in front of the other every day, and they solve those problems. And that's what we need to do in the Senate, and that's what I try to do.
I talked to a lot of candidates and have given advice before and been a candidate myself before in the past, over a decade ago. And you have to look in the mirror the day after the election and be able to live with yourself, the decisions that you make in a campaign. Are you feeling pretty comfortable that even some of the tough decisions you've made to do comparative ads and as nasty as this campaign has gotten at times, are you comfortable with the things you've had to do? Oh,
I'm comfortable, and it has been a very challenging campaign. I find that, I've gotten the mail, looked at my mail here in Little Rock, and out of 7 pieces of political advertising in my mailbox, 4 were negative against me. 1 was a positive one, which I had sent myself.
Well, you wasted money on that.
I know,
one.
It came to me.
Yourself, yeah.
And then there was one that was, I guess, there was the terribly negative one against Mr. Bill Halter, which I condemned. That has no place here in Arkansas. I don't remember the group that was doing it.
AJS, I think, is the group, Americans for Job Security.
Is that okay? I don't know their name. I've seen their logo before. And then there was one other, but I think a positive one for Bill, perhaps, that somebody else was doing. But nonetheless, I mean, when you go out there and you realize that, it's 4 against 3, in the sense that, and I'm having to do one of my own, but the negativity out there that's coming from outside our state, the resources that people are bringing in into the state to run those kind of TV ads, and the mail pieces. It's phenomenal that they really want to nationalize this race so badly that they're willing to come in and spend that kind of money to try and tell Arkansans, who we should think we are, who we are, or what we believe. And I just don't think Arkansans go for that.
It wasn't unexpected, though. I mean, you could see that tidal wave coming, that this was going to have a lot of potential negativity for it. I mean, as much as everybody maybe didn't want it to, that's really kind of what happens when you get into strong competitive races. Well,
and you could see it in the fall, because from August to December, the other side spent about $6 million, a little over $6 million, spewing negative ads on me in the fall. So they tilled the soil pretty nicely for the labor unions, which are basically the main spenders in these negative ads in the primary.
You learn a lot about your opponents on the campaign trail and through a campaign like this. Tell me what you've learned about D.C. Morrison, first of all. What's been your kind of takeaway from D.C. and his candidacy?
I kind of expected in these debates for somebody to say, well, it's been so negative, what can you say good about your opponent, And I think D.C. is genuinely wanting to offer himself for public service. I think what he wants to happen is that in the fall it would be between 2 conservatives, him and the Republican, as opposed to really looking at where his ideas and beliefs align with the Democratic Party. But he seems to be a very nice man. I've come to know several, I've now met several, or he's indicated to me several people that he knows that I know and are friends of mine. So it's interesting. I've learned a little bit about him. I didn't know much about him before.
Yeah. What have you learned about Bill Halter? What are your thoughts about Bill Halter now?
Well, I didn't know Bill very well either, quite frankly, and I don't know. He's not a real warm and fuzzy. I've tried to be polite, and I've tried to visit with him a little bit, but I don't know that he's real interested in that. But that's okay. But I think he has a real desire. That's for sure.
Would you see yourself, if you don't win the Democratic nomination, would you see yourself supporting one of your two opponents in the fall?
I'll support. I'm a Democrat, tried and true. I'm going to support Democrats in this election, regardless. And I think that's important. I've always been a Democrat, and I don't stray from that. One of the things that to me that's great about being a Democrat is that the tent is wide. And that you don't necessarily have to believe like other Democrats on everything. And I don't. There's some things that we might have differences on. There's usually less, we're more in common agreement on things than we are not. But there's some things that, and to be honest with you, I also think that being a Democrat, I'm not going to agree 100% probably with anybody. My husband will tell you that.
Just yourself, perhaps. Yeah.
I think that the expectation that because you're a Democrat, you're going to agree 100% with, perhaps an interest group that, will tend to be a Democratic interest group. I just think that's become overly sensitized. In a lot of ways.
This has been a huge high-profile race. It's had its ups and downs. It's required a lot of money to be raised. It's had its fair share of brawling back and forth. Make you want to go for a fourth term if you are to win a third term?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you even dare to ask that, as if that's anywhere in the realm of anyone's thought right now. We're going to get through this right now, that's for sure. And that's where our focus is.